Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our NFL Week 2 preview between the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys was able to move the football very well in the passing game last week versus the New York Giants, and this week versus Kansas City, Romo has to continue to hit the open man. I like what he did last week. Guys that were open, wasn't locked in on a target, spreading the football around. They have to continue to use both Jason Witten and Gavin Escobar in a running game with those wham blocks and helping seal the edge so that way DeMarco Murray can get outside. Now defensively, I would green dog Alex Smith all day. You want to force him to make a quick decision. That back stays in the block. That linebacker has to go. And man or tight cover 4 versus that Chiefs passing game. Outside of Dwayne Bowe, they don't have guys that can threaten you deep down the football field, so you can play tight in your coverage, and that way you can be successful. For Kansas City offensively, it's simple. You have to stay ahead of the chains. That running game with the sprint draw game in their inside zone is deadly. If they can stay ahead of the chains versus the Dallas Cowboys, have a great chance to come away victorious. And the passing game must be able to connect deep. There's going to be opportunities this week versus the Cowboys hit big plays deep down the field versus man coverage. They're going to have to connect very early. And I would bracket Dez Bryant and banjo cover Jason Witten. You want to force Tony Romo to go to other targets consistently throughout the ball game. And I also look at the big battle up front between Dontari Poe and Kevin Frederick. That's going to be a huge matchup this week, and that's a battle that Poe will have to win throughout the course of the ball game in order for the Chiefs to have some success defensively. Now let's go inside the lab to take a look at some X's and O's for both teams in this matchup.
The Dallas Cowboys can have some success versus the Kansas City Chiefs by attacking these guys in the passing game, forcing those linebackers to make decisions. And I'm going to show you how they can attack the hook coverage in their zone defense when they go to this bunch set. Now, one of the things about the Cowboys, they love to run the sprint draw, and out this formation, it can be effective. And with this play about the draw up shows you, it freezes the inside linebackers, and that should allow the Cowboys to be able to high-low the hook zone of Kansas City. So we're going to show you, we have an extra tight end in the lineup. His job is to mainly block this linebacker if he's rushing. Everyone is base blocking up front, big on big, your basic pro pass protection. And what we're going to have Jason Witten do, we're going to have him get a good bump on that linebacker, and he's going to run that 15-yard, what we call banana route or over route at 15 yards, thus creating the high in this route. We're going to have Miles Austin work to the outside, sprint to the corner as if he's drawing his cornerback, as if he's going up on a rail route, and then come back in at 6 yards. So that gives you the high-low, and we have Dez Bryant stemming up 5 to 7 to the post. That's going to pull the safety, thus creating the opportunity for Jason Witten. And you have to give a good sprint draw fake here. Romo goes, opens up 45-degree angle, sets up right there, and he'll be able to pick his target where the coverage tells him he should go. So if they can high-low the hook zone versus Kansas City, I think they could hit some big plays deep down the field. The Kansas City Chiefs also believe in their ability to get pressure and play man out there on the corners, as do the Dallas Cowboys. So here's an example of a gumbo blitz cover 2 with the twin B-gap stunt. I think they could utilize this week versus the Cowboys to influence Tony Romo into some bad decisions. So we have your basic 3-4 setup cover 2 gumbo blitz. I'm explaining what that is. The gumbo blitz is similar to the banjo blitz. We have 2 strong side backers combo covering the tight end and a near back to this side. So if both guys drop back, both guys will combo cover the tight end. But if this back releases, strong side backer's job is to cover the near side back. So the gumbo blitz is the same, but it has a spy weak side. I'm going to explain that in a second. So your basic coverage, you have man on the corners. They're going to have to get a bump at the line of scrimmage on those wide receivers. They trust in their corners just like Dallas does. You have your 2 safeties responsible for the deep half, cover 2 coverage back there. That's all fine. Cover 2 man essentially. So what we have now with the front 7 is how we're going to create pressure on Tony Romo. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have the strong side backer. His job is to play the 9 technique versus the run. No run threat, drops back into his banjo coverage. We have the 5 techniques. Job is to play the 5 technique versus the running game versus pass. He's containing. So he's containing the quarterback in case he wants to get outside. We know Romo can move. Now you look at the strong side inside backer. He's going to creep up toward the line of scrimmage to show blitz, maybe forcing Tony Romo into an audible. And versus the run, he secures his B gap, but also no running game, no run play, drops back into his banjo coverage. Now the nose tackle's job is to play the 0 technique versus the run. When no run is present, he's going to delay twist into the B gap. Weak side inside linebacker's job is to creep toward the line of scrimmage. Tony Romo think he's coming? Yes, he is. He's coming as well. So that's where you have the twin B-gap stunt. You're going to have the linebacker go first, then come the nose tackle. And by the way, Dontari Poe has been playing some great football so far this year. I have to say I was wrong about him, but this guy has been playing some outstanding football. Now we have the fire technique on this side. This is where the weak side gumbo blitz comes into effect, because not only versus the run, he's playing the 5 technique and playing contain, but he's also spying the near back versus pass. So that's his responsibility as well. We have the weak side backer's job is to get that contain rush off the edge. Now, versus a strong side run, let's say the run goes this way, his job is to chase the play down, but otherwise he's playing contain versus the quarterback. So you're contained on both sides, you're getting double B-gap pressure, and we also have the 2 backers combo covering the tight end. So with the twin B-gap stunt, the gumbo blitz cover 2 man, I think the Chiefs can get pressure on Tony Romo and force him into some bad decisions.
Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this matchup. For the Cowboys, you want to go big on those backers, get those guards to the second level. That's going to help out that running game, and that way DeMarco Murray could get going very early in this matchup. And you also want to play the spacing game offensively. You want to widen out that Chiefs defense. It not only expands their zone coverages and their coverage responsibilities, but it also expands their rush lane, so that way Tony Romo can easily diagnose where they're coming from, and the offensive line can also pick up the different stunts and effectively pick up the blitz. Now you also want to look at your linebackers in coverage. They're going to have to do a great job this week versus the underneath passing attack of the Kansas City Chiefs. Alex Smith is a master of the short to intermediate passing game. They're going to have to excel in coverage this week versus the Chiefs. Now for Kansas City in this matchup, you want to screen up the Dallas Cowboys. The way you neutralize a pass rush, especially versus an over-aggressive defensive front, the screen game. And we know Andy Reid can draw up some excellent screen plays this week versus the Cowboys. And versus Tony Romo, you want to rush and play contain. Get the pressure going, but keep contained because he can get outside the pocket. And you don't want him extending plays with his legs because that just does a lot of damage to your defense. And you also want to locate Jason Witten on each and every down. Wherever he's lined up in a formation, that's 9 times out of 10 where they're going to go with the football, whether it be in the running game or even in the passing game. The X factor in this ball game for the Cowboys will be wide receiver Terrence Williams. He has to have a better game this week. They're going to get him the football a lot due to the fact that Kansas City will match up very well versus the receivers in Dez Bryant and Miles Austin. So Williams will be the guy that will find himself open. He's going to have to catch the football. And for Kansas City, the X factor will be Eric Berry, in my opinion. Here's a guy that can be a factor, and not only in the passing game, but also in the running game. Shutting the Cowboys' rushing attack down forces Tony Romo to throw the football more often than the Cowboys would want him to, and that's just a win for Kansas City's defense. I like Dallas in this ball game. When I look at the Chiefs defensively, they're very good. They're going to be one of the best in the league, but offensively, I think they only have one legit playmaker, one game breaker, and that's Jamal Charles, and it's easy to roll coverage toward Dwayne Bowe and force those other wide receivers to make plays. I think that's what the Cowboys' plan is. They're going to take away Bowe and force those other receivers to make plays consistently. I don't see that happening, and they will be able to put pressure on Alex Smith and force him into some quick decisions where they will rally up and make the tackle and ultimately win the game. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Cowboy fan forums and Chief fan forums for always showing football game plan support.